Call the August 23, 2022 meeting to order. And please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pretty good, pretty good. Roll call, please.
Supervisor Fisher.
Yes.
Clerk Newbeck here. Treasurer Lockren.
Here.
Trustee Aliaga.
Here.
Trustee Brown.
Here.
Trustee Nalamothu.
Here.
And Trustee Ritchie.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay. You have before you the agenda. Are there any comments, suggestions, et cetera, for the agenda?
I have a request to add under L6, under regular business, request to accept notice of resignation of a township board member. We can add that under L6.
6, okay.
L6, okay.
And I might as well say this. I want to propose a special meeting of the board to go into closed session to discuss Thendera and a resolution of some of the outstanding issues in Thendera. Get a legal opinion on that.
So we could add under
That's
regular
7.
business 7, discussion to set a special meeting.
Yes.
Fine, okay. That's all I have.
Okay, anybody else? Any board announcements?
We don't have
Do we
a,
have to vote on that?
we don't have an, we don't have a motion.
Oh, to modify the agenda, or even
Yeah.
approve it as modified. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve the agenda as modified.
Second.
Moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now, any board announcements? Okay, I'm going to make an announcement. As everybody may recall, or a lot of people on the board will recall, we had the legal services contract in place as a result of prior RFPs and interviews and all that. We extended those agreements for a year, and they expire at the end of this year. And so I just wanted to announce that we will be putting out new RFPs and going through that whole procedure in the next couple months. Any public announcements? Anybody from the public would like to make an announcement? Anybody online? Are you raising your hand, or?
No.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's why you know you could buy something at an auction like that.
Thank goodness I'm not at one.
Yeah. Okay. Public comments. Any public comments? 5 minutes to speak on matters not on the agenda. Not on the agenda.
It's your time to speak if you'd like to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take your time. Now is your time. Come up to the podium and tell us your name. And you want the address?
Isabel Guyella, 6365 Pine Knob Road. I was here 2 weeks ago, seeing if you're making any leeway on Pine Knob Road.
Well, to tell you the truth, the road commission is going to put up temporary signs with a lower speed limit that will test how people are doing.
Uh-huh.
They will not be issuing tickets on that basis
Oh.
because no formal changes
No,
have
I
been
just
made
want to
yet.
know if something's going to be done, because
that's
it has
gonna-
to be done.
That's going to be done.
Mm-hmm. So how long will that take to find out?
They didn't tell us how long they're
Oh,
going to
okay.
stay up, but they will leave them up long enough, I'm sure, to take a legitimate sample of what impact that would have on the speed. People are traveling, and then they'll make a report, I'm sure.
Okay, so it's in the works?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
yes, you're welcome. Anybody else? Okay. We have no public hearings, no presentations or carryover. We have the consent agenda. So on the consent agenda is a request to approve the regular meeting minutes of August 9 for the board, a request to approve August 16 check run in the amount of $406,229.43, ratify the August 5, 2022 payroll in the amount of $340,382.93, request to adopt a proclamation recognizing the month of September as National Recovery Month and National Suicide Prevention Month. And number 4, a request to approve authorization to participate with other local governments, other local units of government seeking relief for township taxpayers from the proposed transit millage proposed by the county 0.95 mils. So those are the points number 1 through 5. 1 through 4. And I'll take a motion to remove something from the agenda or a motion to approve all of them as presented.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Anybody from the public care to comment? Anybody online? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. The consent agenda is approved. And we will go to the regular agenda. First item on the regular agenda is a request to approve first reading of the proposed amendment to Chapter 50 of the zoning ordinance, Section 11.08, for boat docking, lake access boat docking. Brian?
Good evening. Ms. Ellis from Dan Kelly's office is here, the Kelly firm, and she's going to basically give an overall introduction of the ordinance that's in front of you tonight. As you'll recall, this was in front of the Township Board and then referred back to the Planning Commission, who had some good conversation during their meetings on this ordinance. So Ms. Ellis will take it from here.
So first of all, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect.
Perfect, thank you. So our office was asked to review these proposed amendments to section 11.08 of the zoning ordinance. It's my understanding that these amendments have been made, first of all, to add clarity to the ordinance's intent, and second of all, to update certain nomenclature regarding both language used by the Department of Natural Resources and its dock regulations, and to match what the language other communities have in their ordinances. So first, the ordinance does not, I want to clarify that the ordinance does not prohibit or restrict grandfathered uses, meaning that any current nonconformities existing under the current ordinance would be allowed to persist. The ordinance also only regulates motor-powered or engine-powered boats, which is exactly the same as the current ordinance. So, in my opinion, the main change to the ordinance is the complete prohibition on use of an occupied riparian property in the single-family zoning district by more than one family for docking or mooring. So that's a mouthful, but in plain English, that simply means that the ordinance completely prohibits a homeowner from permitting another person to dock a boat on a commercial or friendship basis on their property, which the person using that property does not own. Unlike the previous ordinance, this is a complete prohibition. The ordinance is currently drafted, allows that use as a special land use. That being said, boat docking or mooring for the benefit of owners or occupants of backlots will still be allowed as a special land use if approved by the Planning Commission. So finally, I guess I'll close on, there were a few points of clarification requested to be added to the ordinance by the Planning Commission. I don't consider those changes to be substantive. However, the Planning Commission did recommend in its recommendation of approval to the board that the number of boats permitted on a shoreline remain at 2 boats per 100 feet. That's the standard in the ordinance as currently drafted. The language of the relevant section has been amended to grant discretion to the Planning Commission when considering special land use approval to grant up to 2 boats per 100 feet of shoreline. That new language places the burden on the applicant to justify the greater number of boats exceeding 1 boat per 100 feet. So I think that's it with regards to the major changes and issues. With that, I will let me know if you have any questions.
Yeah, I just wanted to, Brittany pretty much summarized the major changes that the Planning Commission made on, and really these are special land use standards, so if they have to, in determining the special land use, they have to go through this criteria, so that's why the change was made to keep it consistent with what it currently is, which is the 2 boats per 100 feet, and this, so they have the authorization to do that. One other item that was added was that this ordinance, even though it's about boats and boat docking, there is some confusion amongst the Planning Commission on swimming and lots that are designated for swimming. So this does not apply to those type of lots on lakes. Those are still allowed to exist as they are, and they don't require special land use approval. So with that, myself or Brittany would be happy to answer any questions.
From what you just verbalized, Brian, is that you're saying that the Planning Commission wanted it to be 2 boats per 100 feet, and you said it was changed, or it was kept at that, but Brittany said it was changed to 1 per 100 feet.
Well, the original draft of the ordinance, the change was 1 per 100, and then the Planning Commission made it 2 per 100.
But I guess when I read it, that's in the packet, it says it's 1 per 100 with the burden put on the resident to ask for the second one. And that wasn't anywhere at any time talked about at the Planning Commission. Planning Commission pretty much said they weren't even gonna approve this unless it was at 2 boats per 100, so. So the only reason it got approved that night was because of that, so. And Brittany and everybody was there saying, yes, we'll change it back to 2 per 100. And now we come tonight and it's 1 per 100 unless you go through the burden of proof that you need a second boat. And that's a total mischaracterization of what happened at the Planning Commission.
I think the reason why Brittany prepared it this way is that the discussion at the Planning Commission, and you see if you agree with me on this, was that there was a desire not to remove discretion by the Planning Commission. I think that was the key point made, that they did not want to give up discretion. And so this language was put in here as somewhat of a compromise from the way it was to the way it was discussed that evening, so that the Planning Commission had maximum discretion. So this gives the Planning Commission even more discretion than before.
That is not what was discussed, though. The Planning Commission said they did not want to change the ordinance from 2 to 100, or 2 per 100 to 1, and make that decision. They wanted it to stay 2 per 100. That was, if that wouldn't have happened that night, nobody would have voted for that.
Well,
If you go back and watch the Planning Commission, you'll see that it was a major pause before anybody would make a motion because of that point.
I agree that there was a major pause, but I think the major point was that there
That's
was
your opinion, that's the major point. That was not, everybody said they do not want to change it from 2 to 100 to 1 per 100.
only one person said that.
I said that, and Tim said that. There was other people said that.
Well, my suggestion then, if everybody would give me this permission to do this, I would suggest that we have a motion to return this to the Planning Commission.
That's fine with me, because We left that meeting stating that it was gonna be changed back to 2 per 100. That was the exact
I agree.
question that was asked.
I agree.
Well, then, why is it changed now to
Well, I
1
think-
per 100?
I prepared this new language, I sent it around, and I think Brittany and Brian thought this was
Your
really.
job isn't to send it around.
let me
your
finish
job.
my statement.
All right.
I think the idea was that Brittany and Brian thought that this was consistent with the idea that you're maximizing discretion because all of us understood that was the intent. So I would suggest we send this back to the planning commission to make that decision.
And that would be fine. It needs to be in the final format then, because that was exactly what was talked about. It wasn't in the final format that night because we wanted those changes. But if those changes were gonna be put in, everybody said they would agree to that.
That's
so.
fine with me.
But that, like I say, this change, you're characterizing it as that the intent was, and the exact words is that we want it changed to 2 per 100. There was no wishy-washy, hey, we want maximum discretion or whatever. And I definitely don't want the words put in there, burden on the resident to prove that they need a second vote. That was definitely not wanted, so.
Well, let's send it back to the planning commission and get it resolved.
I have a question.
Yes.
Was it specified in the motion in the minutes?
I'd have to review the minutes once we get them to actually determine that.
You
But
can want-
I believe it was, and Mr. Ritchie is right, that they were insistent on the motion. I know, to what I recall, was 2 votes per 100, and then this was drafted up because with full discretion, the planning commission on a special use standard, it's a discretionary standard, so if, yes, this puts the burden on the petitioner to prove that they want more than 1 vote per 100, but the planning commission has its full discretion to still approve it.
What is the proof of the burden? How would people even know what they need to provide, and who is it that determines that they've proved their burden if there are no guidelines
Well,
for that?
there are a lot of guidelines. There are a
Where
lot
are
of guidelines
those?
throughout the ordinance. There are a lot of guidelines to determine what is going to hurt the lake and what won't hurt the lake. Both
In here?
environmentally,
Are they're
In here,
listed
yes.
as these are the proof of burden? I
well,
didn't see that.
well, the question is whether to approve it at all, whether to approve a special land use at all, and then whether to approve it with 1 vote per 100, 2 votes per 100, or something in between the two. That's throughout here in terms of determining what is harmful environmentally, recreationally, what's reasonable recreationally in terms of riparian rights, and so forth.
I think at this point, we need to just make a motion to table it, because if it was clear with the planning commission, if that was in their motion and that was their directive, then we could proceed again, bringing it back to the board at our next meeting, if
Well-
it was not outlined.
I think we're wasting time doing that. We just send it back to the planning commission, get it done.
But if their decision was, if that was part of the motion, then they've made that decision on it, and it's now would be back to us. I think it's just not clear because we don't have the minutes. Was it a unanimous approval?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay.
yeah.
I agree with Carrie. I think we should table it.
It's really a wasting time.
I'm in line with Ron, that it sounds like there have been changes that the planning commission did not contemplate during their meeting. And I didn't watch the meeting, to be honest, I don't know, but.
No, that's true.
Ron was there.
That was
and
true.
he-
No, that's true. It's just a matter of what the planning commission really wanted. And that's why I think it ought to go back to the planning commission to look at this particular language to see if this is consistent with their intent. I think it's more consistent with their intent than the 1 vote for 50 feet or 2 votes for 100 feet. Right, Paul?
I agree on sending it back so that they can make sure it's what they intended. I had 2 other things I wanted to be looked at. One is the removal of, have we completely removed the term keyhole from it? Which I guess I want to make sure I understand that and make sure that, because my understanding is that if someone right now has a large vacant parcel, the keyhole prevents them from even getting a special land use if they can't prove prior use.
Oh, no, the keyhole is allowed under the current ordinance as a special land use. The same as
If
this.
it's grandfathered? Because the grandfathering language is actually in there, right?
It's in here too.
In the old one, it says keyholing if you had grandfathered use. So if we look at the existing example that we all saw, which was on Deer Lake, there's a parcel there that had used boats for many years. Had they never docked a boat there, and then put them in that year and came here and said, we want to have boats in, could they then have gone to the planning commission and overridden the keyhole ordinance
Well,
when they had never put a boat in before? Could they have done that?
Yes, because, I mean, I think part of the concern was there's a new piece of property, or a piece of property with other frontage on this lake, on Deer Lake, and there are other lakes as well, and probably other parcels on all the lakes, where a new piece of property can be proposed for use for serving backlot owners.
Sure. So I guess my question is, I want to make sure we don't remove keyholing if there's some value to the language still being in there, because keyholing is so well known in the lake world, right? You've known the term for a long time in your stuff. So because I'm not an expert, I really want to make sure that taking that language out doesn't make it easier for this
Okay.
stuff to happen.
Right.
That's all, because I don't understand it completely.
Right.
My other concern was, it talks about location under the special land use of where the dock would be, and that it would be towards the center of the property. And I have a concern about that language being in there, because if you have a peninsula that makes up that property, in the waterways at the top of the peninsula, you're pushing the dock to a place where it might, in fact, be less safe. So if they considered the shape of the dock to have, if they're worried about this other property owners,
Yeah.
why don't they put something about how far it needs to be off the property line versus moving it to the center? Because again, when it's a peninsula, you push it towards the center and they follow the rules, they could actually cause more problems if it's shaped that way. So
Okay.
I'd like the planning commission just to consider that.
That's a good point.
That was all I had.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Got it.
All right, is there a motion?
Do we just not have?
Oh, sorry. Well, we can do a motion and then public comment, or public comment first. Why don't we have public comment?
Norm Frashke, this is 7199 Deer Lake Court. I've watched the proceedings both at the Planning Commission and here and every place, and I think, we still need to keep in mind that anything that happens with this, the state still requires a DEQ or an Eagle permit for this type of usage. And I just want to make it clear that the Planning Commission understands that and nods to it. The Township Board understands and nods to it. And that is something that is required by the state. The township cannot override the state. And so that should be part of the language, in my opinion, that they should get it approved. Now, some say, okay, the DEQ doesn't do their job, and they don't come and approve it. So that's a risk for us. If we put it into the language, then we risk getting a lawsuit that says the DEQ didn't get it approved, or the Eagle didn't approve, so now they can come to us because it wasn't the lawsuit or it wasn't the language, and it needs to be approved. I just want to make sure that everybody is in agreement that what we're talking about here is a marina, and it needs to be approved by Eagle. Thank you.
Okay, I can give a brief response to that. The language was added to that at the end, at section D5, that requires is it D5?
So almost towards the very end of the
Yeah.
ordinance. Subsection
Yeah.
5, in deliberation of the.
Yeah,
approval
that's
of the use.
D5. Special land use issued under this section does not authorize any injury to public or private property or invasion of public or private property rights, nor does it waive the necessity of seeking and complying with all applicable state law, including state law administered by the Department of Environment and Great Lakes. And the reason why this doesn't require, the language wasn't prepared to require an Eagle permit is because if Eagle denied a permit, then the township would be sued because we're requiring the Eagle permit. And so it should be just between the property owner and Eagle, not to require the property owner to sue the township to get the Eagle permit. I mean, if you want to sue Eagle, fine, but the township will have done its job, and the township shouldn't be sued. This language puts the burden on the property owner to go to Eagle if necessary. Fair enough?
I see it as, the township should encourage everybody to do it. Yes, that language says that you should do it. It doesn't say you have to get it approved. And that's the difference.
Yeah, that's to avoid a lawsuit against the township.
I understand that, but it's something that is required by the state. And if the Eagle is not doing their job, then the township should step up and get Eagle out here and have them do their job.
Okay? Any other public comments? Anybody online? Okay, is there a motion now?
We have
Motion
another
to-
public comment.
Oh.
She raised her hand. Another comment, I think.
What would this motion look like, Carrie?
Well, I think Isabel raised her hand. I think she may have a comment.
I don't think she heard you.
No.
Paul, what were you saying?
What's the motion look like?
Well, that's the question.
We're gonna table it?
Is
or-
there a motion, either a motion to table or a motion to
Well,
send
yeah,
it
we
back?
probably just table it and it'll go back, right? We don't have to tell it to go back.
Well, if you table it, it stays here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
we have to send it back to
Okay.
the planning commission.
Yeah. So if you want these other things in there,
So I'll make a motion to refer, the first reading, for this change in ordinance back to the planning commission for, further consideration.
I'll second.
any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And then just so, like, we're done with that, like, we didn't wanna make the motion to tell them what to do, we just want them to go back and have the chance to relook at it, right? So that's why
Yeah.
we didn't actually say we want them to do this and
Correct.
that.
Correct.
I only bring that up so that anybody listening understood why we did it this way.
And I'm sure Brian's made notes of our comments, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
very good.
Okay.
All right, we got 2 minutes.
Number 2, request to approve Brady Lodge rental with alcohol, September 14, 2022.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This is a unique one. I think we kind of brought it up at the last meeting. Kind of learned some things through the process on this one. This is for our senior center's largest fundraiser of the year, Bucks for Buses. Typically in the past, we would rent a hall somewhere or rent out a portion of a restaurant for this event. This year, because of the new, the ability to be able to serve alcohol at Brady Lodge, we thought what a great place to have our Bucks for Buses event. We could save the money on renting a hall and having it in-house. So we started to go through the process typically, and I know we've had a lot of conversations with Brittany on this one, if she can still hear me. But at first, we decided to go through the Friends of the Senior Center, which is a 501c3 fundraising arm, separate entity from the township. We had them go through the process of applying for the licenses and the insurance, so that way they could go out and purchase the alcohol or to work with a third party to come in and serve it. And then through the process, we realized we could do this ourselves. So we'd already gotten so deep into the process, we figured we'd just leave it this way for this year. We're gonna have the Friends of the Senior Center, the ones that are actually acquiring the license and providing the insurance. But in the future, and this is a conversation that perhaps Clerk Newbeck and I need to have, is can we get our own insurance to be able to offer these events through the township, even though a third party is the one that's catering the alcohol. So according to the state, that's perfectly legal. I believe that is what we found out. I don't know if Lisa had an opportunity to talk to Brittany about that, but this is an avenue we may want to explore in the future for other fundraising events. So again, this is us learning through the process. I know we've had a lot of weddings and baby showers and those sorts of things where we've had residents rent the hall for these sorts of purposes. This is the first time we're actually doing something in-house. So we figured maybe this first time around we'd keep it the way it was, go through the Friends and have them provide the insurance and work with Crispelli's. And then in the future, we can explore our other options of perhaps doing it in-house and not having to ask a third party.
Wouldn't we need a liquor license if we did that?
Well, Crispelli's is the one that provides the license, or whoever you have cater the event. So they're providing the liquor license.
So it's
See,
not
we're-
really in-house as such.
Right, I mean, but we would provide the insurance on our end, but your third-party contractor for catering the event, I believe, would provide their own insurance and get their license for the alcohol, so. So that's it. Hopefully, everyone can come to the event. It's a great time. I'm not quite sure what the theme is this year, but I know we had a pretty cool Captain Stubing show up for the Love Boat Night a couple of years ago, so it's a fun event. Hope we can see you there. Dave, you gonna fill in as Captain Stubing this year? So,
All right, question, Ron?
Is this the first event where we're actually, alcohol is being sold versus provided?
maybe I should step back. I think the way, I'm not quite sure how this works out, but I think maybe the Friends are the ones that might be purchasing that through Crispelli's and then they're serving it. So,
So there isn't like cash changing hands to purchase alcohol
Correct.
this night then? Even though it says cash bar, that's what I was wondering.
well, and I think that was the loophole before, is we are not allowed as the township to sell alcohol. So I think that's kind of the loophole of getting the catering business in there that can sell the alcohol as a third party.
Well, that's what I'm getting at though. Is this gonna be the first event there where people actually walk up and pay money to get alcohol?
That's a good question, because I guess I haven't been close enough to the process to understand how the weddings work, if
Yeah,
it's a cash bar at the weddings that are hosted there.
Well,
They
that's what I was
have
wondering.
indicated in this case that they will be selling it at the event, per
Well,
the
that's what I'm getting at,
application.
when it says cash bar,
But
that's
is
what
this
I'm
the
getting at.
first one?
But I guess that's the first time I've seen this. In the other ones were mostly weddings or those
Right,
type of
where it was
activities
provided.
where I didn't think people were actually paying money for the drinks.
This isn't the first one, because now that I think back, we hosted the OptiFest this year, where the Optimist Club had a beer tent, so to speak, inside Brady Lodge, where that was a fundraiser through selling that alcohol, so this is not the
Okay.
first time we've done it.
All right, I just wondered that style of event versus, a wedding where, there's not money changing hands.
So is-
To me, that's just something we should track and understand if there's a difference in that kind of event
Yeah.
for the township.
So, I would suggest going over with the Liquor Control Commission again, the fact that you've got a caterer coming in and selling alcohol on the site, just in terms of liquor license requirements. That's a significant thing to them.
Well, and I think this has been required part of our process in the past, is that all of the weddings that we've had there have had caterers that provide that service, because I think
But they're
it's,
not selling it. That's the difference.
yeah,
That's a big difference to the Liquor Control Commission.
sure.
Sounds like a Brittany question.
There might be something.
Yeah.
So generally, caterers have licenses that do allow them to host a cash bar at events such as weddings. With regard to that, the township in the future, I know right now they have a 501c3 special one-day license, which covers the day of this event. But in the future, what we can look into is the township hiring caterers, to serve alcoholic beverages at their events. The biggest issue would be making sure that they are duly licensed by the MLCC, which would be very important, to protect our liability.
So just please review this exact transaction or arrangement with LCC.
Okay.
And I think right now, it's still pending, the license is still pending.
It is, they have processed payment, so it's in the mail. I think we've covered this in the past too, that they typically don't produce those licenses until the week of the event. Sometimes we get lucky and they send them to us early and I can put it in the packet for the board meeting, but our experience has been is they don't like to release them until you get closer to the event itself.
And the thing that is unusual is that it's a nonprofit special license, but Crispelli's won't be selling the stuff at nonprofit prices probably. So I just think it would be good to review it.
Fair enough.
Yep. Any other comments, discussions? Anybody in the public? Anybody online? Okay, is there a motion?
So this motion's okay because of the last sentence, because it says pending receipt of their special license. So the license is going to be based on his conversation now with the liquor commission as well?
No, the license is already been approved and paid for. It's just,
But I think
that's
it's
not
just
part of this
subject to the
conversation.
further conversation with them on this particular transaction.
Okay.
I don't really see that it outlines that in the application. I'm trying to search it, but that they would be selling the third parties in their application to the state. Did you review that, Brittany? Did she review this one?
I have not been provided that application for review.
Okay.
If I'm understanding correctly, the supervisor's asking for a review as to whether the 501c3 can acquire the alcohol that it will be selling for cash from Crispelli's.
It sounds
Is
like
that the issue?
Crispelli's is gonna be selling it, I think. That's what it looks like to me.
Okay, so the 501c3 has hired Crispelli's to cater the event.
Correct.
Got it. If Crispelli's is duly licensed, then I don't see it as an issue, but I'll take a look at this tomorrow and review our application as well. And I can also, I'm happy to touch base with the MLCC, just
Well,
to confirm.
They might need a remote license at this location to sell it.
Crispelli's.
Crispelli, yeah.
So I'll take a shot at this. I'll move to approve the rental agreement and all submitted documents for the rental of Baycourt Park's Brady Lodge as presented for the Wednesday, September 14th, 2022 Bucks for Buses event, pending receipt of their special license from the state of Michigan and final legal review confirming legality of the arrangement.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried.
Thank you. Thanks, Brittany.
Left, Derek.
Item number 3, request to approve second reading and adoption of amendments to Chapter 6, Article 2 of the Code of Ordinances for speed exhibitions.
Yeah, so this, just to bring back a little bit of history, this was based on a complaint that we received a couple years ago about speed exhibition and quarter midget racing, which is done on an oval track in the parking lot of the Sportsman's Club. This is not the road racing track, which typically we get 1 or 2 complaints a year about. We basically sent this to Dan Kelly's office to review whether or not these quarter midgets, which are essentially go-karts, that's about all they are. They're very small, they're for little kids. does this qualify as a speed exhibition? Because our current ordinance doesn't really apply to this type of racing. So it was determined that these do qualify as a speed exhibition, and they've been operating for over 40 years without any kind of licensing, even before the speed exhibition ordinance was written. So we took it upon ourselves to put together an ordinance to fit their type of operation. They typically are just like a baseball team or a soccer team. They practice at night, after school, and when the parents are off work throughout the week. They also hold a few events at the track on the weekends. So we created kind of a separate section of the ordinance to just address quarter midget racing. And we essentially define it, give hours of operation, when they can operate. And this is kind of based on the organization that's out there who actually does this every year. They have their own organization that's separate from the Sportsman's Club, separate from Waterford Hill Road Racing. So it's kind of their own organization. So this ordinance, we're trying to get this over the finish line, to speak. We had a first reading back in May, but the reason I held back on it was the township board in 2021, when this was first introduced, basically gave the organization, they allowed them to operate until an ordinance was written, and they've been operating all year. We've had 0 complaints, and so that's why this is in front of you now, to officially make them legal. All licenses in the future will be handled administratively, where we go out and do a typical annual inspection, just like the road racing facility. And so we're asking for your approval tonight.
Okay, any questions, discussion?
Just one point of clarity, that this is the second reading, so this will be the final reading to put this ordinance into motion, right?
Correct.
Just in case the public doesn't know, we've already had one reading already, so.
Yeah, and they typically come to the township about February, so this is, right now their season's essentially over. But for next year, we'll be fully able to implement the ordinance.
Anybody from the public have a question or comment? Anybody online? Hearing none, is there a motion?
Move to approve the second reading and adopt the amendment to Chapter 6, Article 2 of the Charter Township of Independence Code, speed exhibitions, and direct the township clerk to publish said ordinance in accordance with state law.
Support.
Moved and supported. Roll call vote.
Did it say roll call?
Yeah.
All right. Clerk Newbeck, yes. Treasurer Lockren?
Yes.
Trustee Aliaga?
Yes.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Nalamothu?
Yes.
Trustee Ritchie?
Yes.
And Supervisor Fisher?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Request to approve 2022 budget amendment number 21, increase in gas and oil accounts at the DPW, sewer, and other department funds.
Good evening, everyone. As everybody in the United States knows, fuel prices have gone crazy the past couple of years, and it is now affecting us. Despite the fact that we've budgeted approximately $15,000 more this year for this budget, we're projections that we're going to fall short. So essentially, this is a budget adjustment, a budget amendment to purchase more fuel. We need to get board approval due to the dollar amount. Public Works Sewer Fund purchases all the fuel for the township, and then in turn we rebill each department as they use it. So in the MAPE that you see that Rick is prepared for us, and he couldn't make it tonight, just he had something he couldn't get away from, that he does have outlined on what departments are going to have the budget adjustments and increases and decreases to that. So in short, that it looks like the expenditures are going to increase $75,000 for this year, with the total amount for his adjustment. Fuel, like I said, it's more than doubled since 2020. since 2021. Currently, we're paying $4.29 a gallon for diesel. That's our cost. That's no taxes. And in 21, we were paying $2.51. So it's quite a jump right there. And DPW and fire are big diesel users, and plus with the fuel and everything else for the rest of the township vehicles. I can say, so the board is aware that I can speak for all the departments because we talked about this a while back. We're doing our best to try to save some gas. We'll double up with staff as much as possible so we don't have a bunch of separate trucks driving around. But in our world and with the fire, unfortunately that happens sometimes. But we're all aware of it, so we're trying to do our best to save as much fuel as possible.
Do you do the windows?
Pardon me?
Do you wipe the windows?
We do. We check the oil and everything. Bring it
Okay.
on over.
Just wanted to know.
That's a carpool, though. You gotta have more than one person, or they'll send you
Okay.
on your way.
Any questions, Ron?
And just a comment, I guess, in case the public doesn't know, a lot of times we take heat over the reserve funds that we keep for each department. And this is probably the exact reason why you don't want to run your budget too tight, that and we carry the reserves that we do. So that allows us to dip out of that before we have to replan for next year as well, so.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Yeah. Anything else? Paul?
Just surprised that it took so long to get here.
Yeah, we thought we were
knew
gonna
was
make
coming.
it, but, we budgeted $15,000 more.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Rick were, for budgets for this year, we were like, we went back 3-4 years, you could see where it was kind of trending. Writing was on the wall there that, after COVID and everything was getting tough to get, fuel was one of them, fuel prices.
Happened
went
fast.
up, and
It happened
it
very
happened
fast.
super quick.
Yeah.
So we still have 4 months to go, but it could have been worse, I suppose, but
I'll move to approve a 2022 budget amendment number 21 as presented.
Second.
Okay, moved and second. Is there anybody in the audience that has any comments or questions about it? Anybody online? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5, request to approve 2022 Budget Amendment 22, Western Telecom Township Fiber Project.
as the board recalls, in 2020, April 2020, we embarked on a large project to run fiber optic cabling between this building, DPW building, and the senior center. The goal is to consolidate a lot of the services, have things hosted here, instead of DPW having servers to do things. We could all work off one network and everything would be housed here. As the board is also aware, that's a big project. It's a giant project, and this has been going on for a long time. The main part of this project, in my opinion, was the installation of fiber optic cable between these buildings. Logistically, it wasn't that bad, but we did run into some serious delays with that, and COVID didn't help, to be honest with you. The fiber, I took a lot of heat from that from my counterpart here in Parks and Rec, and in all in good nature, of course. But we finally got the fiber optic cable installed to where it needs to be. Aaron Jones, our IT manager, is working on getting everything lit up, as they say in their world, and getting everything back online for his department. Upgrading things in my office at DPW as backup for Town Hall. So he's got a whole big project going on there. The installation part of this was, it ran over budget. So over 2 years, it's about $5,800 over the original budget that it was. So considering the cost of material, labor, and everything, and I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but we had some delays that were beyond our control, caused by MDOT. And it took a while to, oh, did I say that out loud? I apologize. But they helped, we made some calls and went up the food chain a little bit there, and boy, did we get some reaction, and boy, they really helped us out a lot. So, kudos to them, because once they got on board, we got the right people. It really helped us get this fiber installed, because we did a lot of underground directional drilling, overhead, relocation. So this is to get board approval due to the dollar amount. It's $5,800, so we need board approval to make this budget adjustment for this project. And this is completing Western Telecom's portion of the project.
Okay, any board comments, questions? Anybody in the public? Anybody online? No? Is there a motion?
Move to approve the budget amendment number 22 as presented.
Second?
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Thank you very much.
carries. Item number 6, resignation of township board member.
I'm gonna turn the floor over to Treasurer Lockren.
I have a letter to the Township Board. It's very short. Esteemed board members, please accept this letter as formal notice of my resignation as Independence Township Treasurer, effective 12 midnight, Wednesday, September 14th, 2022.
And September 14th corresponds with the last day to pay taxes here without penalty.
Mhm.
Okay. Any comments or reactions from the board? Sorry to hear this,
Thank you.
from my standpoint. Yeah.
I'm
But a
sorry
pleas-
to be leaving you guys.
Ditto,
Pleasure to work with you.
very much so.
Sorry I'm leaving you guys, but
Any other comments, questions?
I do have a couple comments about the process. If the board could make a motion to approve the resignation tonight, and then give me the authority to post on the website and in the newspaper so we can get things moving, and then with full anticipation for the next meeting on September 6th, I'll bring a process like we did prior for supervisor, if that would be okay, so we could get things started. The treasurer's position with signing checks, payroll checks, AP checks, and things like that, I think it is of the utmost importance that we start getting notification out there, and then while that notification's out there, we can still meet in 2 weeks to approve, amend, or whatever the process.
Well, I would say something.
Go ahead.
Well, first of all, kind of sad to hear that, Richard, really, really sad to find out. But also, I want to thank you for your service. You are a real public servant. I did enjoy working with you, and you always were available for me to, when I reach or try to have some concerns or questions. For sure, I'm going to miss you a lot, and then I always wish you the best for you and your family. It was a total surprise. I was looking forward to work with you, and then just really surprised about it, but the best wishes from me for you.
thank you very much, Jose. That was kind.
Sure.
Okay, maybe you could make the motion. You know what you'd like in it.
Move to accept the notice of resignation dated August 23rd, 2022, received from Rachel J. Lockren as the Charter Township of Independence Treasurer, effective 12 midnight on Wednesday, September 14th, 2022, and authorize the clerk to post on the township website and publish in the Clarkston News,
Okay,
with follow-up of the process being brought to the board on Tuesday, September 6th.
Support.
okay, moved and supported. Any other discussion? Any discussion from members of the audience? Members of the public? Anybody online? Okay, seeing no other comments, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Regretfully, right? Regretfully. Okay. Thank you. Item number 7, the proposal to set a special meeting to discuss amendments of the Thedera snow plowing districts 1 and 2. This is obviously a very complicated SAD, many properties in there, and we believe that we have done some analysis that reveals the need to make some amendments, and we would like to review this in closed session with legal counsel to make sure that when we come out with this, we're going to be coming out with it in a fully agreed upon, understood way, so that it'll be clear and lawful going forward, and create the minimum amount of anxiety and problems for everybody. So I would propose to have a special meeting next week, possibly Wednesday or Thursday. I mean, it could be Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. Maybe early, like 5 o'clock, if people are available to review it. Brittany, do you know if Dan will be free next week?
So I am checking his calendar as we speak. Give me 1 minute.
Okay. Does anybody want to discuss this generally?
My only comment would be that all week is open in the boardroom, so I think we can choose any of the days with whatever's best for
Is this a
everyone
closed
else.
meeting you're talking about too, or?
A closed session. I mean, we'd have to start it as an open meeting.
Right, but I'm just saying, it's gonna be a,
Closed session,
Closed
meet with
session
legal
meeting.
counsel, yeah.
So we're looking at next week. Yeah, I'm wide open. Anything's
Great.
right.
I
The
guess-
30, right?
since it's going into Labor Day weekend, I guess I'd rather do it early in the week, like Tuesday or something if possible.
Okay. Brittany, have you,
Tuesday.
Yes.
All right.
So Dan is available, it looks like Monday after about 5:30 PM, or I'm sorry, Tuesday after 5:30 PM. He's not available Monday. Wednesday, he's available after 4
Tuesday will do
PM.
it. Tuesday will do it.
Okay,
So let's,
Okay.
but at 5:30. So, I move that we set a special meeting for Tuesday, August 30th at 5:30 to discuss the Thendera, amendment of the Thendera SAD projects for snow plowing districts 1 and 2, and have the clerk post the meetings according to law.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Anybody in the public? Anybody online? Not, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Tuesday, 5:30, okay. Okay. We have communications, actually reports. Reports on rates from Great Lakes Water and Water Resources Commission, some budget comments, fiscal budget, actual and budget comments for the period ending July 31, 22, Fire Department monthly report, Oakland County Sheriff Department monthly report, and Building Department activity. Any other board member comments? Not, is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Wow, took us 55 minutes. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Derek ran.